Okay, still not seeing it. We will figure this out. Bear with me. I apologize.
It looks like we're recording, Colby. There's an
Yeah,
Okay,
icon next
is it
to
yeah.
yours
going?
that says we're recording. So I
And
think
Okay,
I
we're
got a
good.
message that said it, got it.
great. And are you all still seeing the screen?
Yes, we're
Okay,
good.
so Zach, as you present, if you would just tell me when to go to the next slide, and then the same for James and then Crystal.
All right.
And thanks again
Um,
for everyone who has shown up today.
all right. So if y'all don't know me, I'm Zach Hall, one of our community engagement officers here at the foundation. I work with the Upper Cumberland Community Foundation, the Perry County Community Foundation, Knott County, and Breathitt County, and then with some other projects in the office as well. But the first thing that we're going to discuss today is the strategic roadmap for the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky and its affiliates. So just a generalized statement on what is a roadmap. I like to think of it as kind of a blueprint on what we want to accomplish and then how we hope to get there. Ours is set up kind of in a 5-year block from 2025 to 2030. And it outlines several areas that we want to help our entire region, put an emphasis on to make improvements in or to work towards. And we're going to discuss one of those topics today, but we have several different topics in that roadmap as well. So at the big idea is to empower Appalachian Kentucky communities to thrive through collaboration, asset building, and leadership development. And there are several ways that we get there. If you want to go to the next slide. And the first way that we have identified is to grow local economies and revitalize downtowns. And hearing that at first may sound like kind of a sort of specific target, but there are a multitude of ways to get there. And the foundation is involved with several organizations or funds that help us do this work. These include, but are not limited to, Invest 606, the Appalachian Impact Fund, the Appalachian Early Childhood Network, Eastern Dreams Community Early Child Care Network, Reimagining Criminal Justice and the Just Trust, North Fork Local Foods, Food Corps, the Appalachian Arts Alliance, Southeast Kentucky Angel Fund. And those are just a few of the projects that we're involved with. And just looking at those cover a lot of areas, anything from small business development and incubation to childcare, because everybody knows that if you don't have affordable, accessible childcare, you can't grow your workforce. People can't go to work. If it's not affordable, it becomes easier for parents to stay at home with their kids instead of going to work because it's a little bit cheaper. Criminal justice, our food systems, both locally and statewide, and then the Arts Alliance as well. So we're not focusing on just one or two areas. We're focusing on a multitude of different avenues that help us drive these factors to grow our local economies and revitalize downtown. And if you look in the middle, we have our indicators of success. So how do we know that this is working? How do we measure this? And we look for strong, sustainable, and diverse entrepreneur ecosystems in Eastern Kentucky. We want to make sure that we have equitable and accessible stacks of capital so that we're not pulling just from one source. And if that source goes away, we're hung out to dry. We want to make sure that we diversify that. And then that we are giving communities the necessary support that allow people to thrive in the workplace. So that goes back to the child care, the housing, because everybody knows that in Eastern Kentucky that we have a housing shortage, and this was made worse in 22 and in 21 after the floods. So being able to put a lot of emphasis into those areas to make sure that we're able to keep growing and expanding our local economies is very important. Um, and then with those that we're currently doing, how do we see that in a long term? Oh, if you, yeah, we want to make sure that economic opportunity is abundant. It's not just there for a select 2 or 3 people. We have systems in place that allow, somebody, if they have $1,000 in their savings account, but they have this really great business model and business idea, how do we help get that business off the ground and help it grow? And then we want to make sure that entrepreneurship is viable across all of Eastern Kentucky, and that investment dollars are able to support businesses and downtown development, because we believe that as our small businesses and our downtowns do better, we do better as a region. And James is going to touch on some of the work that the Perry County Community Foundation has done over the years.
I'm James Collin. I'm the board chair of the Perry County Community Foundation. And I'll say before we get started, it's not me as a board chair, but it's our board as a whole that makes things happen, because we're all really engaged from different sectors in the community and want to see our community thrive. We support projects that help the community. We're very keen on projects that are going to impact anywhere from youth to elderly. We want to make sure that every dollar we spend in the community is allowing someone in that community to go to a place that they didn't think they could get to. And it's a lot of our efforts to make those high impact things happen to improve the quality of life. We work closely with other nonprofits and community agencies to support their work and their efforts in the community. And it's everyone's foundation. It's not just the Perry County Community Foundation, but it's everybody in the community that wants to help. It's there for them. Next slide, please, Colby. We help with the 2019 strategic plan for the city of Hazard and the 2024 joint strategic plan for the city of Hazard and Perry County as a whole. In 2019, despite COVID, of the strategic plan that we helped fund, 90% of it came to fruition, and those goals were met. During that time, 68 new businesses opened. Although 6 years still open, 68 new businesses sprouted up in Hazard, and that gave us 250 jobs created. Next slide, please, Colby. And it goes basically over the same information on the previous slide, but the fact that the county and city are working together is at the core of what the Community Foundation wants. They want the communities to work together. There's no difference between the work we'll do to help the city of Hazard than the work we'll do to help the county. Next slide, please, Colby. One of the cornerstones that we were really excited about in the second year is the City of Hazard Entrepreneurial Fellowship. Tongue-tied on that one, I'm sorry. But it takes high school and or college age students and gives them the opportunity to work in a small business in the city, to learn what the business do, how they do it. They do anything from picking up trash to bagging orders to making phone calls to helping the business write a policy that maybe they didn't have. And it gives those youth the ability to say, I could stay here. I could do it here. This one hit really close to home for me because I abstained from the vote, but my son was one of the participants in the first year of the program. And it gave him the idea that when I leave and get my education, I can come back and I can have a business that I want to do. So to see the excitement those kids had and the presentations they made, not only to the community foundation about the work that they did, but the city and county as a whole, was inspiring that our youth were that involved. Next slide, please. Our longest with the city and county is the Civic Fellowship of the two. We've done this for roughly 5 years now, and it brings in high school and college age youth that want to learn about the civic side of things, how cities run, how counties run. And they come up with specific projects they work on. Most notable is the dog park that we now have in the Perry County Park. And that came from the Civic Fellows saying, hey, there are a lot of pet owners that would like to go to the park and have a place for their pets to play. And now we have that. Our very own Zach Hall was in our 2020 group. So just gives the youth of the area an opportunity to delve into something they may not have thought they could do, but were very interested in learning about. Next slide, please, Colby. You know, for the entrepreneurial and fellowship, it's eliminating brain drain and everybody leaving, but helps them come and prepare to be successful and to run a business and increase the tax base and have employees and grow the community as a whole. It gives them the real world experience. To me, was the biggest takeaway because they get to see the behind the scenes of, oh, I could do this. Well, can you really do it? And it gives them the ideas on what and how they can do it. And I think, Colby, are you taking over the next slide?
Yep, that's me. And sorry, I just having some technical difficulty on my end. But we want to pause at this point in the presentation and ask Claudia and Jess if you all have any thoughts, and then we have these guiding questions. And so the first one being, what strategies were particularly effective for Perry County? And James addressed that, I think, but from what James presented, what do you all hear? And another question, what is your community already doing well in this area of focus related to downtown revitalization and community development? And then what can you take back to your affiliate board to advance your work in this area? And so these are some questions for thought, but also if you have some thoughts to verbalize, we have time to do that. Would love to hear from you all.
For the fellows, do the students, do they make an application, or is it a recommendation by the teachers, like high school? How do they come about to be the fellow?
It's an application process. And then you do you submit your application, and then they select a few for interviews, and then they'll take their cohort size. I think it's been as small for the Civic Fellows. It's been as small as 2 and as large as 5, I believe. So they have some leeway there as to, you know, if they have 5 really good applicants and they want to make sure that all these kids have this opportunity, they will do that. And it's good because it has that flexibility. It's not as rigid as some on that aspect, but it's fully immersive and really beneficial for the kids to get to do it.
And have you seen that, because it's been going on for a while, what, 5, 6, how long has it been going on?
5 years. 2019 was the first year.
Have you all noticed that some of those youth have remained in the area?
Yes.
Or they came back.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, I know like I'm one of them. Stacy Fugit is one of them. She is back here. Taylor Williams is one who is going to move back to the area within the next couple of years after she finishes up with some professional programs in school. And I think the program is young enough that we still have quite a few on both the entrepreneurial side and the Civic Fellow side students who are still in school. But there are a good portion of those who have indicated that they are coming back once they're done with school. So it's it's important on the brain drain aspect, because for a long time, you know, when I was growing up, I always heard get your education and get out,
Yeah.
like there was no opportunity here. But being able to bring those best and brightest back and making sure that they can succeed here is key to both growing our population and building our local economies.
Who do your civic group, what people do your civic group work with?
So we were housed with the downtown coordinator for the city of Hazard, but we worked closely with the city of Hazard government, the county government, and then we also were at, you know, any community meetings that were happening. We attended meetings here at the foundation when Perry County Community Foundation was meeting, and it was really immersive as to how we got to be involved. So any meeting that a city or county employee would be expected to attend and participate in, we were there. And then we also had our projects that we were working on as well. So my civic fellowship group, one of our projects were the wayfinding signs in Hazard. So if you're downtown and you see the new signs that have the new branding and logos and things, that was one of the projects that we did, and it's cool to see because that's kind of become the color scheme for the city, and everything that they're doing, any new signage is with that same color scheme. So it's very interesting to see that.
Zach, if you have any photos of the signage that you'd like to share with me, I can distribute that out along with the link to the recording after.
Okay.
Yep. So let's take another moment. Do we have any more questions? And it looks like we have another
I just think
person to
it's
join.
I think it's really exciting because I know that, you know, we've talked about doing something like this locally, but kind of figuring out the infrastructure and how to get the important like stakeholders on board to be part of it. To me, this is exciting on multiple fronts, as just seeing what this sort of strategic planning can do elsewhere and how maybe we can plug in. And I think learning how other groups are using their strategic planning will help us as we do ours too, to see like where all can this go, because I think it sounds really impressive and a great idea.
One question I do have is our foundation group is basically all volunteers. So is that something that you just ask the committee from that group to be in charge of and take on another responsibility?
So we weren't the overseer of either of the fellowship programs.
Right.
So we just provided the funding mechanism to help fund them. And then they were housed with the city of Hazard. The downtown coordinator took them under her wing, or one of the commissioners took them under his wing to guide them through the process.
Your second question is what's your community already doing well in this area of focus? And I think one of the things that we're doing well is we've been involved in the People Ready Communities project. And our group has come up with lots of ideas, and we are right now in the process of recruiting more members and hoping to, after we do our project through People Ready Communities, that we've already got things in line that we would like to do and go through this group and just see more involvement in our community and more volunteers out working.
That is wonderful to hear, Claudia. I didn't know that. I haven't caught up to speed with David, who is the coach, the team coach for Knox County, but that's wonderful to know. Thank you for sharing that.
I think one of the things too that helps is building out those relationships and having relationships with the People Ready communities and your local nonprofits, and being able to have those conversations of, well, maybe we can't do it now, but maybe later, and being open. And sometimes the best answer is no. And we've said no to several requests because they don't really help the community as a whole. but it's being able to have that conversation with your board members and say, hey, these are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? And go with the consensus.
Yeah, thank you, James. Any thoughts before we move on? I think it is about time for us to keep carrying forward with the presentation. All right. So I believe now it is Crystal who will present about bequests.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal Hall, and I am the Development Director at the Foundation. In this presentation, we will explore how community foundations can empower donors to leave a lasting legacy in their communities through bequest. In my experience, the most challenging part of planned giving is learning what it encompasses and learning the benefits so you can talk to others about it. So today, I wanted to focus on the benefits of bequest for both donors and community foundations, as well as tips on how to build relationships with donors. Next slide, please. So what is a bequest? A bequest is a fancy word for a gift that is made through a will or a living trust. They allow donors to support the causes they care about once they are gone, and they are a powerful way for donors to make a lasting impact in their communities. Bequests can be in the form of cash, securities, real estate, or other assets, and they are crucial in fundraising because they make up 83% of planned giving gifts, and the average gift size is $200,000. Next slide, please. So what are some of the benefits for donors? There are tax advantages. Bequests are deducted from the value of their taxable estate, which can significantly reduce the estate tax burden for the donor's heirs to inherit. And they fulfill charitable goals. Bequests allow donors to ensure their money is used for causes they're passionate about after they are gone. And they create a lasting legacy. Donors can leave a permanent mark on the communities they call home, and knowing their assets will be used to progress their communities for future generations can bring donors a peace of mind. Next slide, please. Now we will discuss the benefits of bequests for community foundations. One of the greatest benefits is they are often larger gifts than one-time donations. Like I mentioned earlier, the typical gift is $200,000. So donors often feel more comfortable making large commitments when they have ensured their financial well-being is ensured during their lifetime. Bequests support a variety of needs. If the bequest is unrestricted, the foundation has the flexibility to use the funds where they are most needed, whether that is economic development, educational programs, disaster relief, etc. Bequests also help build your endowment. Once received, bequest funds are typically invested by the community foundation, and this investment allows the funds to grow over time, which generates a steady stream of income that can be used to support the foundation's charitable work for years to come. And they also strengthen the relationship with donors. Bequests show a donor's deep commitment to bettering their communities and demonstrate their trust in the foundation to honor their legacy. Next slide. Donors to target. So any donor can leave a bequest, but there are donors who are more likely to do so. Long-term donors who have given consistently over many years have demonstrated a continued interest in your mission and are more likely to want your foundation's work to thrive beyond their lifetime. Community leaders, including business owners, entrepreneurs, and other influential figures, often have a strong desire to enhance their communities, and many aspire to create a lasting legacy in the place they call home. And donors with no heirs. Donors who are not married or have children typically want their money to go toward causes they're passionate about. Next slide. Now to discuss the key to successful fundraising, building donor relationships. The most important part of communicating with a donor is expressing gratitude. Always start with it and end with it when you are speaking with your donors, whether that be through a handwritten thank you note or talking with them in person. When you have conversations with donors on the phone or in person, go beyond thanking them. Ask questions to learn more about their interest and family life. Most of your older donors just want somebody to talk to. After you get a feel for what they're passionate about, talk about how your community foundation aligns with what's important to them and the work that is being done. And after speaking with the donor, follow up with a note thanking them for taking the time to talk with you and for their investment in your community. And last but not least, keep them informed about the work the foundation is doing and don't let the relationship weaken. By prioritizing donors and keeping them updated on the impact of their gifts, you can cultivate long-lasting relationships. I recommend trying to reach out to them personally by giving them a phone call or meeting with them at least once a year. Next slide. So that's all I have for today. And thank you for taking the time to listen. I know planned giving can be a lot to take in, and it's been a struggle for me trying to wrap my head around it myself. So Leah is going to send a follow-up email with access to planned giving bootcamp webinars and resources that I found to be extremely helpful with learning all the benefits of planned giving. And you can also email me with any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
Crystal, if any of the affiliate board members would like anyone to accompany them to speak with a donor, I mean, we'd be more than willing to go with anybody. So if you have a donor that you want to reach out to and you want some company, just let us know. Sarah, Zach, Crystal, Kristen, Jerry, we're all in on that. So we'd be glad to help if there's someone that want to speak with.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Crystal, for going through that. We have kind of breezed through this presentation and we have some time to spare, but before we leave, I do want to make sure that you all are aware of the schedule for the remaining webinars or learning sessions in the series. And so our next meeting or learning session is scheduled for August 15th. And the topic will be supporting and preparing children and youth. I can't remember off the top of my head which community foundation will join for that portion, but stay tuned for that. And you can see the whole series there. And also want to point out, I think everyone who is here is registered, but if you want to share and get more people to join in the next learning session or for the series, we have the tiny URL. And if you have any questions, you can contact Leah at her email, which is vanwinkel@berea.edu. And that concludes our presentation for the day. Before I leave you all, do you have any closing thoughts or questions? Thank you all again for being here and presenting this information.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okie
everybody.
doke. So
All right,
hearing
thank
none, I think we can conclude. And thank you all so much for joining and hope to see you all at the next learning session.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good
Have a
one.
good day.
Thanks
Bye.
so much.